Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It is your Wednesday edition. I think I fixed the audio, so I'm going to rely on you guys. And, in the future, if there's ever issues with the audio, the video, you got to let me know. I'm working on a lot of different things I'm trying to pay attention to over here, so sometimes I don't see all the changes. So it looks like the audio level is way higher today. It might actually be too high. I might have to dummy it down just a hair here, but you guys have to tell me, let me know what you guys think. I'm not sure why that skipping was happening. It took me a while to figure out, anyway, how to get this audio fixed. I don't know. It sounded better on some testing I did last night on it, so hopefully it all looks good. Awesome. Thank you, Futures Trader. And again, don't hesitate to be like, hey, this is off or that is off. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Sometimes I just don't notice this stuff at the beginning. So let's go. Yeah, loud today. I know. I noticed it was a lot louder. I was shocked at how quiet the other episodes were. And what's weird is I went through every setting on my sound controller. Everything was totally fine, and then I opened up Camtasia to record something, and I saw that the volume was low there. I turned it up in Camtasia, and now it's loud across the board. So, who knows? Hopefully it won't go downhill near the end today, Liz. Hopefully it'll all be good. I'm not sure why it happened. Anyway, let's move on to what happened on markets today, and plus go to some listener questions. Today's topic, called the Taiwan Risk. Not something we talk about regularly on this program, but I think it actually might be interesting and something to think about for anybody who is a long-term investor, because it could have some serious implications for our market going forward. And it was driven by a question from James. He says, I saw this article on Yahoo today. What are your thoughts? So here is the picture of the Yahoo article, so you guys know what it's all about. It says, Biden blocks the sale of NVIDIA AI chips to the Middle East over China fears. And I thought, well, we can take a step back from this and really look at, I guess, the bigger picture here, because when you read that headline, it says, Biden blocks sale of NVIDIA's AI chips to the Middle East over China fears. Now, obviously, at this moment in time, NVIDIA is the only dog in town that's producing anything of that kind of quality and power, it's with A100 and H100, I think, are the two chips coming out from NVIDIA. That said, what's kind of funny is when you look at where does NVIDIA get their chips from? You guys tell me. 90% of their chips come from one company. That should be kind of concerning to anybody. And they mentioned that in the press release. They talked about it in their earnings call that they have, a huge dependency on a company right now where they get 90% of all of their components to build these A100 chips or H100 chips. And that is Taiwan Semiconductor, the largest semiconductor company in the world. That should be frightening because when we look at the storyline here, this headline that James sent me sounds ominous. It's like, oh, the U.S. is sticking it to China, because they'll sell these chips to the Middle East and then China will take them and reverse engineer them. It's like, hold on a second here. Yeah, it's TSM. Exactly. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting just so we put it into perspective. Here's a map of Asia. Well, parts of Asia. And if you zoom in right over here, this little tiny island is Taiwan. Now, there's a lot of contention about who does Taiwan belong to, all right? Don Fun would like me to join him on Friday. I could potentially do that. Our Friday tradition starts today. Yeah, I'll reach out to Don and see if he's totally fine with that. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is, there's all this argument that Taiwan is its own sovereign country. That's not true. It technically is part of China. Of course, Taiwan says, hey, we want to be independent. We want to separate ourselves from China. And China's saying, no, you're not. You're part of us. And in the recent months, they've actually been stepping up military efforts over there, kind of like saying, hey, we're going to flex our muscles a little bit to ensure the world that Taiwan is ours. So here's the interesting thing. You've got Biden blocking the sale of AI chips to the Middle East over China fears. That's the headline. They've also kind of been blocking them to China and Russia to begin with. But if China really wanted to, it's a very simple thing. They would basically get an A100 somehow, easy to do, not impossible, bring it over to China, reverse engineer it, and then tell the whole world, Taiwan semiconductor chips will only be sold in China. They will not be sold to any other country in the world. Can you imagine the turmoil that would cause, considering that 90% of NVIDIA's chips come from Taiwan? If that were to happen, you might see, I hope nothing like this were to happen, but that could be one of those things that leads to a global military conflict, right? Do you think America is really concerned about the well-being of Taiwan? Probably not so much. But the business implications, the monetary cost, if we lose Taiwan Semiconductor's resources and the manufacturing of these chips from Taiwan, a lot of our U.S. technology companies could come grinding to a halt. You're talking Apple, right? All the chips for their iPhones coming from Taiwan. You're talking Broadcom, right? Broadcom, I think Qualcomm also is getting some from there. So you've got a lot of these major U.S. tech firms relying on chips that come from Taiwan. And as Ricardo says there, World War III, Elon Musk made a statement. He says the next world war will be fought over AI. In my mind, I was thinking it will be fought over AI because of what AI does, right? Its ability to read and forecast and plan and maybe put out fake propaganda and make up stories. Who knows? But it may be actually different than that. It may be that the war will be fought over Taiwan because we need them to manufacture these chips. And again, if you think of the biggest fundamental threat to us right now, it would be cutting off the technology. We pride ourselves in being a technology leader and having so much intellectual property, which, America's great at that. But if the components for all those technologies are coming from Taiwan, which is controlled by China, and China says, nope, you guys are cut off, I think you would all agree that this is a pretty big red flag. Now, I thought it'd be an interesting topic because it is a risk. And is there any way around it? When I look at some of the chip makers, and I put a big list together here of like some of the major ones so you guys can have an idea, these are some of the major names out there. You got Taiwan Semiconductor, you have Intel, but Qualcomm and Broadcom and Nvidia, they get a lot of their chips from Taiwan Semiconductors, and I'm pretty sure some of these other companies do as well. So you have a global systemic risk with Taiwan Semiconductor. And again, it's only because it's such in contention with China. China saying it's ours, it's our property, we'll let them kind of remain independent for now, but it still will be part of China. However, Taiwan and their democracy over there is saying, no, we want to be independent. And of course, when that happens, who do you think they're going to come running to for help? Hey, America, can you help us out here because we want to separate from China? And that could create a whole new set of problems that I think could have serious impacts on our markets. Now, granted, if you were holding NVIDIA shares, which hit an all-time high today, let's bring up that one for you guys and go look at NVIDIA. Actually, I'm sorry, not an all-time high today. And it hit all-time high on August 24th, and we got real close to it today. I thought we actually broke back through today, but we're doing pretty darn good on NVIDIA. If you look at this chart of NVIDIA, I don't think it's a stretch to say that if there was some sanction where all of a sudden China said, you know what, we're going to, just like Biden did with this headline right here, Biden blocks sale of NVIDIA AI chips to the Middle East over China fears. What if there was an article on the Chinese Daily News that said the Chinese president blocks the sale of Taiwan Semiconductor chips to the United States? Right? Could it happen? Sure. It absolutely could happen. And if this dog and pony show between Putin and Biden and China continues, I think it's actually a plausible possibility. I think the economic impact would be so severe that it would immediately set us into war. But I think it is a plausible hypothesis if Biden and our current administration continues to, prevent chips from being sent over there. All-time closing high. Thanks, Margaret. Yeah, that was. I for some reason I thought it was all-time high, but it was an all-time closing high, as you can see there, closing at 493.15. And what would you guys say if you saw a headline that came out tomorrow that says China has banned exports of Taiwan Semiconductor chips to the United States? What's your forecast for the price of NVIDIA? We're at 493. Now, personally, if that were to happen, I would probably be selling some calls selling some puts way lower to capitalize on the fear, because you're pretty sure NVIDIA's share price would just start to crater because they won't be able to keep up with demand of what they've been demanded by their customers. But ultimately, that embargo, whatever you want to call it, would be lifted and we'd probably be okay. Les says, sounds like world peace would be beneficial for our economic future. It'd pretty much be beneficial for everybody, I think, Les. I went on a little bit of a rant today in my my crypto session, because it seems just like if you have an enemy, then you can justify having a big military. But if you look at some of the moral issues that are between Russia and China and the United States, there are definitely some differences, cultural and morally and religiously. However, we're not that far off. And I think ultimately, if we just sat around the table and agreed upon some common core principles, that all of us would be in a much more comfortable state. And not only us as you and I, but China citizens, Russian citizens, would be in a much more comfortable state. But it's like we all have to have an enemy. And as long as I've been alive, I've never heard of a moment where China was our friend or Russia, right? China's the enemy. China's bad. It's like, no, they're not. There might be some bad individuals leading Russia, but overall, I don't think Russia's that bad. So you're right. I think peace would probably be better for prosperity, certainly, and obviously the well-being and lives of everybody else and just the stress. But, if we were all peaceful, then we wouldn't have the largest military complex in the world and, a lot of money spent on military and defense. It's business. It's kind of like saying that, cancer, a horrible, ugly disease, which in my mind, having read some stuff on that, I believe that the cure is out there if you got enough money. But I think that our healthcare industry in the United States particularly makes more money off of keeping you sick and treating it as opposed to actually fixing and curing it. So, all right, let's see. Why are we so reactive versus proactive? We've known this issue for a long time. Yeah, I'm not sure, Lisa. I don't know why we continue to kind of go this tit for tat where I'm going to do this tariff or I'm going to do this sanction, I'm going to not send you these chips. I don't know. It's all political in my mind, and I don't know what the final outcome is. I just do think we would be better off if we were just amicable and said, hey, let's just be friends. Now, obviously, Taiwan, more of a democracy versus China, that's going to be a political divide there between those two countries. And that's one of the big reasons why Taiwan wants to separate itself from China. And you've heard so much talk over the years about a potential war breaking out there. Good news is it has not, but hopefully it won't break out. So these are some of the big competitors there. And again, I mentioned that, a lot of these are getting their chips from Taiwan Semiconductor anyway. Broadcom, I know, gets a ton. You kind of have to look and see who's doing what Taiwan Semiconductor is doing outside of Taiwan and China. Are they based in the United States? As Applied Materials or Micron Technology, Intel, AMD? Can they bridge that gap and make up for what Taiwan Semiconductor is doing? Therefore, if there is an issue with Taiwan Semiconductor, then actually, John, I'm not sure of that. I believe that Taiwan is technically part of China because it doesn't have its own. As I was reading through it, yeah, I'm pretty sure Taiwan is, but not officially separated. So I think it's a gray area, maybe. I don't know. I know that there's going to be a fight over this. They could cure the common cold. Yeah, well, that hasn't happened either. Still have flu shots going around, yet we got COVID vaccines that everyone needs to get 15 boosters of. We got that within 6 months of this disease being identified. That's what they didn't agree upon. All right. Well, anyway, I guess the question for me and for you as an investor is, when you look at this list and you're saying, okay, I'd like to maybe buy into some of these companies, or maybe I'll grab some Intel. Right? Intel has been on a pretty tough slog over the past few years. Well, maybe they get into AI. Maybe they pick up part of that slack and start to move back to the upside. So, maybe I buy some Intel. Well, if Taiwan Semiconductor gets cut off to the rest of the world, Intel will probably do rather well. So might AMD and some of the other more domestic ones, or at least ones that aren't based out of Taiwan. So, that's something that I think we all have to... you missed a good one today. That's something that I think we all have to kind of keep in the back of our minds as far as escalation. I like to think and look abroad as like, what are the big areas or roadblocks that we're going to see as a global community? Certainly it's disagreements over nuclear weapons or different environmental issues. But I think that this one is a pretty major one because as we advance as a civilization, if you don't have access to semiconductors and chips, you're going to be left in the Stone Ages as other countries and technologies evolve. If you watch the new movie Maverick, the old movie, The Maverick, Top Gun Part 2, they didn't do a good job in that movie, in my opinion, of explaining what Gen 5 fighters are, the fifth generation of fighters. Most of that is built off of these amazing new chips and processors that can do so much more, and understanding it feels like they're bending the laws of physics with what some of those planes can do. Well, if you don't have chips, you can't build those planes. And whoever has the chips can build those planes, and they'll be the ones that just dominate. So, yes, Ricardo, Taiwan Semiconductor, I believe there's an Arizona plant. I'm not sure, but yeah, there are some satellite offices, if you will, but it's just a question of will it be able to keep up with that demand, and would that become a separate company? I mean, who knows? There are a lot of uncertain questions out there with regards to what's going on with Taiwan Semiconductor. It should be an area of concern, which is why I would never put all my eggs in, the NVIDIA basket. That's why I like building a portfolio and having things spread out. Now, granted, if we see China say something like, Taiwan is ours, and we're going to fight tooth and nail for it, and we're going to start right now by cutting off Taiwan's capability to send chips outside of China. Immediately, not just these semiconductor companies are going to have issues, but a lot of stocks are going to have issues, right? You're going to have automotive stocks, you're going to have appliance companies. Just generally, I think it could be one of those black swan events that craters the equity markets for a little while until it gets resolved, because everything is using chips, except maybe your toothpaste and your toilet paper. But hey, pretty soon you'll have chips in your toilet paper too. Oh, you're wiping too hard. You need more toilet paper. Who knows where the world is going? But if we cut off Taiwan Semiconductor, prepare for significant market declines, which is why there'll be diplomatic things done to help avert that. But I thought it'd be an interesting conversation today based off of James' question. My thoughts on it are, it's kind of silly for Biden to impose that and say we're not going to send these AI chips over to the Middle East. I think it's stupid. If China really wanted, they could take those components, take that A100 processor, break it down block by block, rebuild it with those Taiwan Semiconductor components, and a little bit of creative engineering. I'm sure they could figure it out. It's not that hard. Alan, I've heard Taiwan Semiconductor that is building in the U.S. has a lot of politics slowing it down. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was China, I'd kind of be like, hey, hold on a second. Wait a minute. And that may be part of the issue. I think it's going to continue to escalate, especially with the AI rush. At this point, I think all of you would agree that AI is here to stay, and the capabilities, not only from learning machines, but also to automating systems and processes and just overall intelligence done by AI is going to advance technologies and societies by leaps and bounds. So whoever has that, chips and delivery sounds uncomfortable. Probably, but you know what? Those chips will evolve. They're so nano thin anyway that you wouldn't even notice it was in the toilet paper. We have chips now for everything. I was watching an electronics show, and they had this Apple Watch I wear. I hate watches, but now I like this thing because it actually allows me to do track energy consumption and how much I'm working out, etc. But I saw one that was almost like a gauntlet. It looked like a little bracelet gauntlet thing, and it form-fitted to your arm, but it was a TV screen. And you could just look at it. It's like a full screen on your arm. You could lift it up, and it, very, very thin technology. You saw with the new Samsung phones, they're foldable. They have a foldable screen, which is really cool. We're getting better, faster, smarter. I sound like the $6 Million Man. Isn't it funny? You guys might remember that show from I think it was the 80s, the $6 Million Man. Like that sounded so astronomical back then, the $6 Million Man. And they reconstruct this guy as like a freaking cyborg, right? Now 6 million is like a root canal and a hip replacement. You're already in the hole for $6 million. Crazy. Maybe they should come back with that show, the $6 trillion Man. And they just show a picture of Jerome Powell. Chips in your bidet. Yep, there's chips in your bidet. What do I use the watch for? I like it. Number one, it's just, I know what the time is all the time, but I also like it to track my heart rate because I have anxiety, and a lot of times I'm just seeing if my heart rate is really increasing that much. The most useful piece here is competition. So I have a competition going where, you're supposed to burn a certain amount of calories, you're supposed to stand for a certain amount of time, and exercise for a certain amount of time. 3 different factors. So I love it because I'm competing against somebody else. So it kind of forces me to work out more, to exercise more, to do more. And that's, I would say, is predominantly my main. And also I love that it's connected to my phone, so I don't have to keep my phone on me. I can just look at my messages here, but that's it. Let's see, Liz says, China is governed independently of China since 1949, but Beijing views it as part of its territory source. Right, there you go. What else do I got here? You're showing your age with this one, Merlin. Oh, man, am I? What did which part, Lisa? Which part did I show my age on? I remember the $6 million. Oh, but $6 Million Man, yeah. There was $6 Million Man, and then I think there was a $6 Million woman, right? See, there was the spinoff was the woman. I remember Steve Austin. That was so cool. Boop, 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 boop. Sounds like an expensive Fitbit. Yes, it is an expensive Fitbit, but I can also make phone calls with this thing. That's fine. Other than that, I really don't use it for that much other than just fitness, time, and communication device. No trivia checks. No trivia checks. God, I had some fun rounds of trivia last night. There were some really good ones. And of course, some people were upset at the difficulty of my trivia rounds. I did one round. Yesterday was the International Day Against Nuclear Testing. It was all against nuclear testing. So I did a whole round on nuclear last night, and a lot of people were like, what the hell? This is too much money. The Bionic Woman. Thanks, Tom. That was it. Yep, that was a good one. Anyway, now we're digressing, going off topic. So let me wrap that one up. Yeah, Sly, I know. I don't want to admit it. Let's see. One other piece here that I want to get to, and then we'll go into our overall markets. Wonder Woman is better than Bionic Woman? I don't know. I couldn't buy the whole Wonder Woman story. She's flying around in an invisible jet. She's got a lasso that makes you tell the truth. Man, I'm in trouble. I don't know. I thought the Bionic Woman was a little more realistic. Yep, there it is, John. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. We can make him better than you. Oh, God, so awesome. All right, let me get off. We're going off on the tangents here. So Steve sent this one in, and I just really a comment, which I like. I really like it. It says, how about argument, latest economy be most fiscally responsible? I feel we are currently witnessing the collapse of empires, and there will be no soft landing here. Ancient Chinese proverb occurs, may you live in interesting times. I think that the days of the USA bullying the rest of the world are quickly coming to an end. I do agree with that. And I don't believe that we are witnessing the collapse of an empire. What I think we're witnessing right now is just an evolution of societies. It's happened forever, right? There's always been an evolution of migration where people either go to a different country or different power struggles, different land grabs. And I think that the more sophisticated we get, the more we are less inclined to have horrible, bloody, colossal wars, right? I think even China and Russia, who look viewed as the enemy, would say, there's a certain value to life, and let's not try to kill people if we don't have to. Will we see a rise in power of China and Russia and some of these BRICS countries and kind of come up to speed and the U.S. lose some of its power? Yes, I believe that the U.S. will lose a good amount of its power because I think that the currency is the main factor giving us our power. It's not just our people. So when we start to lose control of the U.S. dollar and we start to see other countries, as we had this discussion yesterday with Bill Addis, as we start to see, maybe there's a unified BRICS currency. Maybe we see, an Islamic dollar backed by gold. And alternatives where OPEC can now say, hey, Japan, you want oil? Pay in yen. We're cool because we'll just convert it back to whatever currency we want on an open exchange. Or you want to pay in euros? Cool, that's fine. You don't have to pay in dollars. That will deteriorate our power as a country. Now, with that power comes influence and manipulation. Unfortunately, I believe that our politicians have exploited that over the years, some of which to the benefit of America, some to the detriment. But I think as you bring more and more countries up, hopefully they'll all have a level of intelligence where it's like, okay, I've got my country and my borders. It's no longer like it was in the 1800s and the 1700s where it's like, I'm just going to invade your borders and take everything over, unless you're Russia trying to get back into the Ukraine. So I don't know. I don't think it's a collapse. I think it's just a reshaping of empires, right? A morphing a little bit of the controlling powers and maybe some of the boundaries along the way. Hopefully it doesn't have the levels of violence that they have in the past. Absolutely, Pepe. The dollar's weaponized. I did a trivia question last night, which was, you guys can answer it. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me because my trivia sheets aren't up here. But which country has the most nuclear weapons? And I'll even label it into one of three. Is it the United States? Is it China? Or is it Russia? Which country has the most nuclear weapons on their arsenal? Just curious what you guys think here. Type it in the chat. And you'll give me the name there. I'll wait for a second, and I'll ask you how many they have. All right, so tell me which country you think has the most nuclear weapons out of those three, and then how many nuclear weapons they have. Now, of course, there are regulatory agencies that are going in and tracking that, but I'll be honest, do I really trust their numbers to be 100% accurate? No. So, Margaret, Ricardo, you are correct. A lot of people think it was the United States. Russia has more nuclear weapons than anybody else. China is not even close. Per one of the nuclear agencies that I checked with, I believe Russia has like 4,800 and something, 5,800 and something nuclear weapons. I think it's 5,800 plus. The The United States has 5,244. So Russia has around 600 more nuclear weapons than the United States. China, I believe, is at 410. So there's this belief, I think, that China has a lot of nuclear weapons. They really don't. However, somebody said in the comments that regardless of whether they have 1 or 6,000, if they start launching those things, we've got serious problems. China has plans to make really 1,200 more. All right, here's another trivia question. How many actual physical nuclear bombs have ever been used in war and conflict and on a society? How many? What's my favorite nuclear missile movie? I really loved Hunt for Red October. Hunt for Red October is one of my favorites. I have a fascination with submarines. First one gets launched at the end of the... Yeah. Margaret got it right away. There's only been 2 that have actually been launched during war onto a population. Of course, that was done by the United States on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So pretty unfortunate. Hopefully no one else will ever have to experience what the Japanese went through, because that was pretty bad. All right, you guys would have done well at trivia. Well, maybe I'll do a Trader Merlin trivia night just for the viewers. All right, so Steve, that was my 2 cents on that. I'm sure some of the others in chat, you might have some comments on this one for Steve. I really don't... Oh, yeah, War Games is a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Shall we play a game?
Yeah, no collapse, just a modification, just an evolution. Technology is going to have a big hand in this as well. And hopefully, I know this sounds weird and you guys all think I'm a crypto nut, but what I do think is that the digital asset space is about banking the unbanked. So you have people around the world that don't have access to a financial marketplace or a system. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets like Cardano, or you could look at things like Avalanche or Solana, Algorand. They allow people that don't have a traditional banking system to bank themselves, right? So now it's about empowering people who don't have access to financial markets, and doing that, in my mind, brings up society as a whole. I think gives more power to more people, right? It levels out that playing field of poverty and allows, again, people who can't save to actually save. If I was in Ecuador, or if I was in Argentina, there's no way I'd hold my native currency. No way. I'd be looking for alternatives. I'm losing money every day because of inflation down there. What's it, like over 100% inflation in Argentina, like 500 or 600% in Venezuela. Yeah, not a fan of that. So digital assets help people store their money, but then also empowering you to make decisions with it. There's also kinds of services that we built into there that I think brings the whole world up. So it's just a modification using technology, and as we become more decentralized, that means less reliance on governments and what they are pushing on us, and I think that is kind of what the dream is for the planet, empowering people to have a say in their own affairs, their own doing. Yes, I know, I messed up on Ecuador. I meant to say Venezuela, Tomasino. The Rock? That wasn't a nuclear movie. The Rock was what, Sean Connery? That was the Alcatraz movie, right? That wasn't nuclear. If there was a war and the internet goes down, how do you access your crypto? So at that moment in time, you wouldn't be able to access your crypto. But remember, if the internet goes down, you're not going to be able to access your bank or anything else anyway. You would go into your bank and they would be cut off from communications. They wouldn't let you withdraw money from your bank because they couldn't access their computer. So while it sounds interesting to say, oh, the internet goes down, you're cut off from your crypto, that's a much broader problem. You're cut off from everything. You're cut off from communications. You're cut off from all finances. So yeah, no, I wouldn't be worried about that. There's talk about, if there's an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and it destroys everything, there it comes, 1 MPM bomb, and all your crypto is dead. No, not true, Alan. That's not true at all. So let me show you real quick why that is not true. Bitcoin, hold on. Bitcoin node map. So here is, hopefully it'll work. Last time this thing didn't come up. Excellent. So just to make this point, so let's say, Alan, we are here in the United States and there is a nuclear bomb that does an EMP and wipes out everything in the United States. All electronic devices are gone. Your car won't move, your phone won't work, your watch won't tick. Everything is done, right? Let's just say, and personally, I don't think that's going to happen. However, in a sci-fi world, let's say an EMP hits all of the United States. My records for Bitcoin aren't sitting just in one location. They're at every other dot on this map. So unless you do an EMP that literally liquefies every single piece of technology on the planet, my Bitcoin is safe, right? My Bitcoin will be safe and will not have disappeared. It'll be on one of these computers. Actually, it'll be on all of them. So you'd have to take all of those computers out. That's kind of why, or one of the reasons I love Bitcoin, is it's so decentralized. So if they take out all of the United States, all of North America and South America, there's still some miners down here in Africa. There's still some over here in China. You know, they're all over the place. So the copy of my Bitcoin ledger, meaning what is where, is stored there. Now, here's the thing. It would take a while for the US to build its infrastructure back up so I could get connectivity and get those devices. But my crypto would still be at that address recorded by somebody else. So as long as I don't lose the private keys, but your hardware wallet is gone, where are your keys? So if, let's say, a EMP, so I've got it right here. So here's my Nano Ledger, right? I got a bunch of crypto on this thing. If an EMP hits right now and wipes this out, I don't care. I could take this, I could throw it into a blender and chop it up till it's a fine powder. I could pour that powder into my toilet and flush it down my toilet. All I need is my seed phrase, which is 12 or 24 written words. So if I lose my 24 written words, let's say, it burns up or something, then my crypto is gone. But an EMP will not do anything to a piece of paper, right? So let's say I have my seed phrase written on this piece of paper here. I'm not worried. Nothing's going to happen to it. So, seed phrases and your private keys are just how you store them and how you keep them. So cash in that situation is totally king. I think at that point, Lisa, it'd be really a barter system. I mean, we're dealing with a highly improbable scenario that there's an EMP that destroys all technology around the world. If that were to happen, you'd have to have some barter mechanism, and I think it would go down to skill sets. Until we built up the infrastructure again, it would be more like, hey, I can fix this, but I need your food, that type of thing. Money may be there, but you're not gonna be able to make change. Cash registers don't work and stuff like that. Which is why so many movies are based on this. Yes. How many goats for one Bitcoin? That's a lot of goats. You're dealing with a herd of goats. But see, I wouldn't be able to pay you because technology's down. Anyway, all right, we're going off on a tangent. A fun discussion, definitely something that's different. Hopefully we don't have to think about these things in the long run. But all right, let me go through our top 8 here and then go to your economic calendar. GDP number today. I don't know if you guys saw that. That was disappointing. Let me start there. Let's go to. Let me bring up GDP here real quick. Okay, so here is your GDP number for today. So we already had the advance. Remember, the preliminary is the second. So last month we had the advance. This month we have preliminary. And then next month we have the final GDP. Here is what those numbers came out to be. They expected it to stay at 2.4. It actually dropped to 2.1. So that's not good. There you can see the average 2.1 right here. Honestly, I'm fine as long as it stays above zero. Let's not, contract and go down below zero again like we did back in early 2022. So fine, we're at 2.1. Markets didn't like that too much today. But that was pretty much your major piece of news. There also was kind of disappointment with the jobs report. The ADP non-farm employment change was expected to be 194,000. Came out at 177, so not good. And your pending home sales. This one is really an eye-opener. Huge shock to the upside. 0.4% was the previous number. They thought we were going to see a big contraction in pending home sales, as I did. Right? I was expecting that the soaring cost for homes, meaning your 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, I thought that's going to start pricing people out. Apparently not. Look at this chart here. May not look that dramatic because of what happened back there, but we're starting to see it's above zero and trending the upside. That's a really good sign. I just don't know how long that's going to last. All right, what does Tom say here? If a nuke hits the 949 while you're in Jamaica, would your crypto be good? Assuming your wallet and your secret piece of paper is not on vacation with you. So if an actual nuclear bomb hit ground here and it wasn't just an EMP, it was like incinerated and just took out everything, yeah, I'm toast. My crypto would be gone. At that point, though, I think I'd be more concerned with human life and all the loved ones and friends I lost as opposed to my amount of crypto that I lost. So my crypto wouldn't be lost. My ability to access it would be lost, meaning my seed phrase and my private keys would be gone. So what you're saying is maybe I should take my seed phrase, my private keys, and put it in a safe deposit box when I'm in Thailand or go to Japan. Put it there just as safekeeping. How many days till the SPX hits a new high? Well, that's a great question. Let's go and look at the old SPX. So if we look at the high price out here on SPX, I will put a horizontal line right there. Go to this high point, which should be right about there. 1 second as I zoom in and get the exact high number. Delete that. And that high number that you saw, January 4th was your peak. 48.18 was your high, and that was back in 2022. Now, how long till we get there? Well, could be a while. Could be rather quickly. I mean, I've got this little breakout line, which I thought would be part of the trajectory is where we're headed. I'm going to get some of these lines out of here just because I don't want too much detraction from my eyeballs right now. You know, if you look at it right now, we are currently sitting at 45.14, and that high point is 48.14. So you're looking at 300 points. That's not that bad. I mean, what's that, 7.5%? Let's just see exactly what it is from right here. Almost 7%. A 6.6% gain for it to get up to our all-time high. You know, I've really been surprised at this most recent rally that's gone on. This has been really good. I actually expected there to be a bounce. I did think there was going to be a bounce as we came down in this demand zone that went back to June 26th, but I didn't think it would be one that would set us back to the all-time highs. I actually thought we'd bounce a little bit, thought we'd stall out and start coming back down, but I was wrong on that one. So it happens. You know, we have our forecast in for the year, which we'll certainly wait till the end of the year to look at the results. But right now, those who said market making new highs or all-time highs, you might be in a good driver's seat right now. I still think there's too much negative information for this market to sustain a big rally, but I can't argue these last 4 days. I mean, last 4 days from bottom to where we peaked down the S&P, 3.8%. It's almost 1% per day. That is one heck of a move for the S&P. So let's start at the bottom, work our way to the top. Bitcoin giving back some of its miraculous gain yesterday. Now, granted, this wasn't the end all with regards to the SEC and grayscale. There still are a lot of hurdles that need to be met, but I think that this does increase the probability of a spot Bitcoin ETF being implemented in the United States by the end of the year. And you guys see how big this surge was in Bitcoin just off of grayscale winning this lawsuit. That's not even getting approval. So again, if we get approval on a Bitcoin ETF, I think that this is going to come soaring to the upside and much, much higher. And I think that's going to happen by the end of the year. Anyway, on the day, 2.68% slide for Bitcoin, dropping back down to 27,260. Not the best looking chart, but hey, I'll take a 2.7% pullback after a 7 or 8% gain. I'm ready for it. Moving on up to your dollar index. There's your pullback. I thought we were going to hesitate right here, and we're kind of just past that. We tiptoed past my kind of sideways demand zone. This is, again, that reason you're seeing these markets rip. You've had 3 consecutive big down days for that dollar index, and that's causing a surge in the equity markets. Here's your 10-year. Hesitation day today, really a small spinning top. The new session is just slightly down, but not much of a big change there for the 10-year. All right, commodities. Man. Kicking myself for this one too. Man, I just felt we were going to have some choppy times, not these ballistic trends. So I have that demand zone on gold we identified a while back. We came down, tiptoed right into it, and been rallying ever since. You notice where we are with gold at this exact moment. You're coming up to an area where it started a pretty aggressive down move back on August 7th of this year. You know, momentum right now is real strong. Part of me says we're going to have a little bit of a pullback, right, because we're in supply, but I've said that a couple times, and I've been wrong over the past few weeks. So if trend is any indication right now, probably headed back up to that $2,000 mark, even though I do feel like a pullback's coming here in supply. Fourth place, S&P 500 up 0.39%. Now, we ripped right through the overhead supply on yesterday's chart. I thought we would have a down day today, right where we ended, with almost at the highs in that supply that goes back to August 15th. But no, markets had other thoughts and continued to rally up. So there we go. Moving on to the upside, again, challenging that all-time high. Might be on the plate here sometime soon, but we do have the 46.30 mark. I think it's actually more around the 46.15 mark, which will be your next, at least, major area for me going forward. Russell 2000, 0.41%. Its next major overhead supply. I'll just put a horizontal line or move these horizontal lines down to it. Now we'll get rid of that. I think you're looking at right about in here. which would take you to 1928 to 1939 is your next area of supply where I would look for the Russell to have some challenges on, and that is about 22 points away from where we're at right now, so that'd be about another 1+%. Second place was the NASDAQ, 0.55%. Now it's still kind of hovering right at that same point that the S&P was challenging. S&P broke it, NASDAQ has not, but momentum is just so damn strong right now, it's hard to bet against these indexes. Last one here is crude oil, 0.58% move to the upside. You know, I have these two lines here drawn at $82.42 and $83.61. Those can go away, in my opinion, because we tiptoed above that. I'm going to take those out just because I think they're misleading. To me, that's not a supply zone anymore. It's done and over with. And what else do we have? I think that was pretty much it that I wanted to discuss today. As far as tomorrow goes, here's your economic calendar for tomorrow. Okay, I'll bring it up here. Take me just a second. And it's the final day of August. So tomorrow's show, we'll do a rundown of all the final numbers, what we did for the month of August, which has been very interesting so far. For the U.S., you have your core PCE price index going on at 5:30 in the morning Pacific. That's 1 hour before the markets open. So be very careful. As you know, this is the one that the Fed has just kept pounding the table on, saying this is our metric we're looking at. Now, I personally think that it will probably come out at 0.2 expectation, which would be great. If we continue this on for 12 months in a row at 0.2%, that means inflation is going to be 2.4%, which is right in the wheelhouse of what the Fed wants, and that means the markets will start to rip back up. So all in all, looking pretty darn good. Core PCE price index numbers coming out tomorrow. You also have personal income and spending. Something to note here, notice the expectations. So personal income is expected to stay the same, but they're expecting a pop in personal spending. As we become more of a debt country, I don't know if it's possible to become more of a debt country because we are just spending rampantly, but this could be a bad sign going forward. Again, if you're spending more than you're making, that leads to economic problems down the road. So if we do see a big surge in spending, that's something to keep an eye on. Might be the problems, and that's going to impose on our markets at a later point. Otherwise, not a lot of major stuff. You do have some manufacturing numbers for Japan. You have CPI coming out for the Swiss franc. Earlier in the morning, you see some CPI estimates coming out for the euro, but that is pretty much it for tomorrow. Let's see. Michael wants to know about VSCO. Victoria's Secret, love it. Love Victoria's Secret. What do I think about it this afternoon? Well, I mean, they're down in the after hours. God bless Victoria's Secret. Technically, I don't like it at all from a chart perspective. As a company, love it. Love the catalogs too. There you go. From a technical perspective, there's nothing to like here. It's traversing sideways. It's been crushed down from 2150 all the way down to 17 and change. It's been traversing sideways for the past 5 days. Meh. I don't like it at all. However, what I would say is you could do something like this and say, ignore Victoria's Secret until it breaks that box one way or the other. Now, in the after-hour session right now, it's trading at 1731, so it's technically at the dead low here. Actually, that one need to be right. Right there's the dead low for that box. Just stay away from it until it moves above or below that. If it's staying in the middle of it, forget it. Go. Otherwise, yeah, it looks really bad. I mean, you look at this chart, and this is ugly, man. Lower highs, lower lows, going back almost 2 years, just solid, nothing but down. That is not a good-looking chart. There you go. That's my talk on that one. Let's see. There was a comment here. Tom says, okay, replace Nuke with the German Shepherd. If your dog ate your seed phrase and wallet, would you be wishing you had your Bitcoin in a Fidelity account? Yeah, well, obviously, Tom. Luckily, my dog doesn't chew or eat anything. Unless someone rubs like steak on my seed phrase, he's probably not going to get it. Plus, I have backups of my seed phrase in different locations just to be safe for myself. So, yes, if my dog ate that piece of paper that had my seed phrase on it, I'd be pretty upset with him. Bad dog! Bad dog! Not going to happen, though. Let's see. Pepe says, if a new kid or something big happens, then you just need guns. You get what you need that way, at least at the start. It's not gold. It's not cash. Sadly, you're right. People with guns would be taking. So, well, I think you have some component of society that would be using guns to protect themselves from people who are looting them, which would be me. And then you'd have people using the guns to rob and steal stuff, which would not be me. So, yeah, guns would probably be really important in that situation. And if you are getting a gun, train yourself how to use it. Take a safety course, take a training class, and make sure you know how to shoot those things. Pepe says USA is 100%. Yep, actually, I think we're 121 right now, debt to GDP ratio. It's bad, like really bad. Isn't that showing a split coming up for VSCO? No, I didn't see a split. That little the lightning bolt here. Oops, sorry. The lightning bolt here, I think, is just news. I don't know if there is a split. Maybe there is, but it doesn't show it on the. I don't see it on the calendar. So no, I don't see a split there coming. Thank you, day trader. Much love to you as well. Appreciate the support. Let's see. What are you, 15 years old? No, I'm a little bit older than that. I'm a dyslexic. Almost a dyslexic 15. How about that? TMUS. Let's check out TMUS. T-Mobile. All right. Do I like T-Mobile? First off, from a technical perspective, way better than Victoria's Secret, right? You've got an uptrend going on for years. Now, the only thing that's concerning is it's started to make lower lows recently, so it doesn't look that great. I'll jump out to a weekly on this one. It feels like it's rolling over, right? It's just starting to roll over a little bit here on T-Mobile. So I like the long-term trend. I like the long-term picture. The shorter term, if we zoom into just this, is kind of meh, right? There's nothing really that exciting here. It feels like it's kind of rolling over, looking a little bit weaker. So I'm not that excited on the shorter term. Longer term, I love it, meaning if we're looking at holding this for years. Actually, it looks more like a potential short opportunity now on T-Mobile. Why? Because really since July, we've been selling off, making lower lows, lower highs. Now the question with this spinning top that we have today is, where does it go tomorrow? If it opens up lower and starts to drift and end up breaking this 131 to the downside, then I think you can make the argument that you have a downtrend intact, lower lows and lower highs, and then I'd be shorting the rallies and looking for more downside movement on T-Mobile. There you go. How student loans are coming. The whole student loan thing's irritating me. That one drives me nuts. Yeah, no, Lisa, if it shows a split, here, I'll show you. If it shows a split, it's a little yellow S, like this one right here. I think it's yellow. I don't know what color it is, but it would show like this right here. It's a little S circle. Merlin is 15. Oh, you took it away. I'll leave that one alone, Oliver. I'll leave that one alone. Who else reported there after our earnings, after our market? Let's check. There were a couple names. It was Salesforce was the one that I remembered off the top of my head. We can check to see what's happening out there tomorrow as well. But Salesforce was the big name. There's your CRM, and that was after market close today. There really weren't a lot of big ones in here. If you look at market capitalization, there really is not a lot of major stuff here. Only big one is Salesforce. Now tomorrow, we have 136 companies reporting earnings. Lululemon reporting, Broadcom. All right, that'll be one of the bigger, more important ones tomorrow, just because in that chip space as well. That's after market close. So you got Lululemon, Broadcom, Dollar General, Ciena, which just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Dell Technologies and VMware reporting earnings tomorrow. So those are your earnings companies coming tomorrow. Is ETH a buy? Well, it's hard to say. Here's ETH USD. Go to crypto. I think I have it over there. ETH USD. Well, there you go. That's not right. Let me go to a different ETH chart. It's difficult to get good data nowadays. Where's the ETH? There we go. Okay, there we go. That's better. Is ETH a buy right now? I personally would say no. I don't think ETH is a buy right now. All right, you look at this on the daily. You've had a massive run up from 1160 to almost 1600 in a very short window of time. Now I'm loving this because, oops, sorry, this is old. I'm like, wait a minute, we didn't have this run up. We're down. There it is. The run up was just yesterday. No, I don't think ETH is a buy if you're thinking short term. I think you still have a lot of volatility going on in our markets. It's so funny how that moved over like that. I don't think that you have enough positive stuff yet. Now, if you're long term, like you're looking out the next year or two, then yeah, I think you buy Ethereum and you hold on to it, right? That to me is what you should be doing anyway. My Ethereum is sitting in a cold storage right now. I'm actually not earning on it, which I want to be doing, but I don't plan on selling mine again until 2025 in November when we peak again, when I think we'll peak. So I think that ETH right now is probably not a buy if you're short-term nervous about regulatory pressures. If you're long-term holder, then yes. You've had a decent pullback from that 2,000 level, actually over 2,000 back here. So yeah, I'm long-term bullish on Ethereum. I think it's going to end up being a lead dog. I don't understand how the talking heads are saying Salesforce is an AI company. They may be using AI on the back end to aggregate their data, but I don't know. I don't know Salesforce's business well at all. There you go. And CrowdStrike. Did they? I thought they reported yesterday. No, you're right. Or today. Yep, up. They had an earnings beat on CrowdStrike and up 1.49% in the after-hours session. Here is your 5 minutes. You can see the after-hours of what went on with CrowdStrike. A little bit of volatility. Didn't EAT make a profit? No clue. We can check it and just go there and click on that bad boy. I don't know if Brinker International made a profit or not. I haven't looked at their earnings calendar, but you could probably bring up their last earnings, which was a couple weeks ago, and they are turning a profit. They are making $1. Well, they've been making a profit. Looks like for a while. $1.39 is what they. $1.31 is what they came out at and beat earnings expectations. Okay, I gotta go. Running late here. Things I gotta do. Things I gotta take care of. So if you guys have any comments, questions, feedback, let me know. You can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. Hopefully tomorrow morning I don't have a class tomorrow, which is great. The last couple of days I've had classes that kind of hindered my trading, so hopefully I'll get some trades going on. I've got one on my radar that I'm not excited about, but if you look at the chart of BUD, old Anheuser-Busch, I have a couple things marked out, but I'll just share that one with you. I've been looking at Anheuser-Busch. I've been wanting to buy it, and tomorrow looks like a down day for Anheuser-Busch. Here you go. You got your chart of it. You got a great shooting star after a monstrous rally up from below 55 to 58 in just a couple of weeks for a stock that usually moves rather slow. So shooting star today on Anheuser-Busch. InBev, I think that might be a great short play for tomorrow. We'll see how it pans out. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much. Hope you learned something. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I will see you all on our Thursday show. Take care, everybody.